Yo, what's going on, guys? It's BrendanMushi, and today we're talking about DNF Duel. Got to play the beta for a few hours, so I wanted to give my thoughts, impressions, all that good stuff on how I feel about the game so far. Throughout this video, it's just going to be a bunch of clips and highlights of me playing every character in the game. So if you're interested in seeing your main do some cool stuff, maybe you haven't actually played the game, and you just kind of want to see what everyone can do, stick around throughout the video so you'll be able to see something with everyone. I was actually feeling the Inquisitor because of the lockdown that she can do. I think it's a she. I think the Inquisitor is probably the most fun, but I don't have a set main. There's a few characters that I really like. Now, the first thing I think of this game when I first saw it, and also as I played it, is that it reminds me so fucking much of Granblue, and I think that that's kind of how everyone feels. The UI, the music, everything about the game, the feel of it is very similar to Granblue, but there are some glaring differences in the mechanics and the way the game controls that does make it a bit different. I think one of the interesting things about it is that your special moves in this game, they do use one button specials, but your specials are tied to your mana bar, your MP bar, the blue bar below your health bar, and as you execute special moves, they cost mana. And then as your mana gets low, you're not able to execute those special moves anymore until you're able to recharge it. And I believe when you get hit, you have this white health, as you can see next to the red bar. And there's a mechanic in the game that lets you actually spend a little bit of that white health to get your meter back so you can perform more special moves. The general flow of the game is that because you can't air block or anything like that, there is a little bit of a grounded footsies, kind of like Street Fighter and Granblue. But then once you get in, you use a lot of stagger pressures and tick throws to try and open people up. And generally, you can string your attacks together by using the A and B buttons. Pretty much everyone can do A into B. Most characters can do A, B, C. I found some characters that were kind of weird about that, where it's kind of character specific, but typically you're able to chain A, B, and C, your light, medium, heavy buttons, and then you can go into one of your special moves by pressing a direction and the special move button if you have the amount of mana to do it. So yeah, that's basically the base mechanics and how the game plays. I do like that, even though it's one of the more homogenized fighting games, I do like that every character in this game feels different from one another. They have different run speeds, and some characters have long range normals and feel really slow, and I feel every character has something about them that's really fun to use. The Inquisitor can throw up this giant fucking wheel that takes up the whole screen that you can combo off of or use for Oki. This dragon bitch can fly, and she can also use her dragon for lockdown Oki. So every time I was playing every character, I would always find myself going, oh, that's tight, I wonder if I could do this, and then I could. So I do think, as far as people asking or wondering is the game limiting, well, yeah, if you're comparing it to Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear Xrd, I know it's early, but I'd say it's pretty obvious that it is one of those fighting games that falls somewhere between Guilty Gear Strive, Granblue Fantasy versus somewhere I'd say somewhere probably a bit closer to Granblue than Strive. But yes, to some degree this game is going to be more limiting. It's going to have a lower execution barrier, so if you're the type of player that likes Guilty Gear Xrd, Blaze Blue, Skullgirls, more crazier high execution fighting games, it's probably not the game for you. And those are the types of games that I typically like, but because I'm such a general fighting game fan, I do enjoy this game, and I'll probably end up getting it. As far as how long I'll actually stick with the game, that kind of remains to be seen until I get my hands on it a bit more. But I did enjoy myself playing it, and now that I'm thinking about it, I actually do want to play more. But I'm curious to see what everybody else's thoughts are on the game as far as that goes. I do think that as far as the online goes, that it was kind of hit or miss for me. I know it's a beta, but some matches it would be really smooth as if I was playing offline, and then other matches it was a stuttering mess. So I don't know if it was I play on Wired and my internet's really good, so I feel maybe it's just on their end, or the game servers were being really weird. I'm not quite sure. But the potential for a really smooth online experience is definitely there. Most of my matches played completely fine. But back on the topic of difficulty in fighting games and games like these, I've seen a little bit of controversy on Twitter of people talking about how they're upset that DNF Duel is another kind of Granblue type fighting game, and how a lot of fighting games are being dumbed down. Because make no mistake, it is dumbed down. call it what you want, but that is what it is. And the way I kind of feel is I think that fighting games like this have their place. I just don't want them to replace fighting games like I mentioned before, like BlazBlue Central Fiction and like Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 and Skullgirls. Like, you know, I think that both of these games should be able to coexist, right? Like, you should be able to have fighting games like this where you can just pick up and play with like your friends at a party who don't play fighting games, and they can just pick a character and they can just hit buttons and do stuff, right? Without having to like basically grind their life away on fighting games like I do. And so these games kind of have their place where like you can boot it up with a friend who doesn't really play fighting games, and then they'll be interested because, oh, that cross-up was fucking dirty, I'm nice. Anyway, but like they'll be interested because the game looks gorgeous. Like, the game looks cool. Anyone that looks at this game is gonna be like, oh shit, like this game looks tight, I might want to play that. But a lot of times what happens is people pick up the fighting game and they find out, oh, like I can't actually like do anything because everyone just washes me online. So that's what I mean, like these fighting games do have their place. I just hope that this doesn't become the new standard, because it seems like pretty much every single fighting game that Arc System Works comes out with is on this kind of like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, DNF Duel. I mean, Strive definitely toned things down from the previous game, even though I do really like Strive. But I think you understand where I'm getting at. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's pretty much a fact at this point that Arc System Works is going more the direction of these types of easier games. So yeah, all I'm saying is I just hope that this is just like a certain type of game they're going for, and that we can get like maybe a new BlazBlue mainline title that actually plays more like you know, Central Fiction or those other types of fighting games. I didn't really get to mess around much with the mechanic where you like spend some of your life in order to, I think it gives you kind of like the ability to like Roman cancel or something like that. And it also gives you your mana back. So like if you spend a lot of mana in a combo, you can spend some of your health in order to extend the combo even further. You can also dead angle, if you're not familiar with that. You basically spend your mana gauge to kind of like force someone off of you while you're in block stun if you don't want to take a mix up. There's a roll mechanic as well that you can use to like roll behind people to like avoid attacks, which is really good against like the ranged characters. So it always feels like you have some sort of options in this game. It feels pretty, obviously it's just been a few hours, but it feels pretty fair and balanced. So far, I think the game's pretty fun. I think it's a pretty standard, you know, baseline, run-of-the-mill fighting game, nothing too crazy. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.